Hey everybody, it's Nico with today's ThoughtLoad, and today is going to be a little bit of an update and also a little bit of an analogy. So in the past few months, we've been doing a lot more recordings this year, and over that time, kind of realized a few things. One, for me, I realized that I wasn't talking about things in the podcast that I was actively doing. Now, yes, I talk about life coaching things with family, friends. There are a few clients that I do serve, but that's not the same as having a client list and going out and building a business and doing all of the, life-changey things that one would assume you'd do in those situations, especially with the types of topics that we've been focusing on in the podcast. So, just like I mentioned a few thought loads ago, that there are always times in life where you need to stop, check, and adjust, or just revamp what you're trying to do. I'm not trying to reinvent myself. I'm trying to showcase more of who I am. I think that's the way I would urge everyone to think about these types of changes. And so we are going to take a little bit of a transition period here, so we can talk to people that are more in line with what I'm personally doing right now. And Tyler is probably going to have a lot more connectedness to these topics than before. And that's the direction that I'm trying to head down is what I've been studying and doing with permaculture. I have done tons of things around my home. I dug out a pond, I built a greenhouse, I built a collection area, I've planted trees. I'm finding trees in my yard that I'm planting, and I grew mushrooms. And I'm planning to do a lot more stuff. I'm in the process of installing a rainwater collection system right now. And so I want to focus on that stuff. I want to focus on the why for those projects. I want to focus on the little details that it takes, the design things that I'm looking at, and share that all with you. And honestly, I should have done this a long time ago, because I have been talking about sustainability, permaculture type ideals for, 7 years or more now. And only today, or only in this time, is when I'm actually doing it with my hands. So I think that's the most important part of what we'd like to share. And hopefully those are the conversations we're going to get into. The podcast matching service that we have enables us to target who we talk to. And so with this subtle change, we'll have to update that. It'll take us some time to do those interviews and to screen people and things like that before we actually get some other episodes going. But there's tons of people out there doing sustainability type work, whether it's on YouTube or podcasts or anything in between. I myself have looked at tons of different videos from projects in New Zealand, in Portugal, in Spain, in the United States, in Australia. Like, they're all over the place. And it's super cool to see how people are using sustainability where they live and different aspects of it. So again, going to be making some shifts with the podcast, and I wanted to explain all of that to end with an analogy. And if you've been listening to all of our stuff, you probably have heard this before. But the analogy is something that my grandfather said. My grandfather is Colombian, so he said this in Spanish, and it sounds way more sexy in Spanish, but more or less the analogy is that we as humans can change direction at any time. We are not rivers. Rivers flow in one direction and only meander and change course in small sections, but they still move in the same direction. Humans are not rivers. We can turn the fuck around if we wanted to. We can totally change course. We can spend 10 years trying to be a nurse, a doctor, a lawyer, and then decide that we want to be a teacher or we want to be a monk. We're humans and we can do that. And so I'm exercising my right as a human and not a river to make these changes for the betterment of the listener, you, and also for me. I don't want to feel like I'm trying to teach people to do things that I'm not actively practicing. I think there's a big difference between knowing, like having the knowledge of a life coach where you understand how to handle certain situations, you understand what happens in different stages of life, the fact that we are all imperfect and we are all doing the best with what we have, right? I think it's one thing to know all of those things and another to practice it on a regular basis and then talk to people about what they're experiencing and with their client conversations. And that's the part that I was missing. And I think our listeners missed out on some stuff there as well. So a little bit of a shift here with what we'll be talking about, but we're still going to incorporate elements of what we were doing before, but that's just not the main focus anymore. And that's okay. I hope all of you appreciate the types of changes that we've gone through and that we're doing. I think one of the things that we try and do amidst all of this is to stay consistent. And yeah, it may not be the level of consistency that other people want, but I don't care. And that's not the point of this. So the fact of the matter is we're loving life. We're making changes that make us feel powerful. And that's what we would want for every single one of you. So go out there. Remember, you have a right to change and do whatever you want in life because you're human and not a river. Guys, enjoy the day. Thank you for listening and stay tuned for all the updates yet to come. Guys, as always, begin the duel, win the day.